JFix, and hello to everybody in the repair community. In this video we're going to be looking at this bench power supply that I've picked up for my electronics workbench, an essential bit of kit for the bench, and I'm quite excited to go through this. It is rather heavy, so yeah, I'm going to put it down and excited to get this set up and yeah, have a look at it. Let's go. Right, here's the power supply. The model I've gone for is made by Hantek, and it's the HDP4424, and it's got 4 separate outputs on this. I say I've already boxed this, but just taking it out of the box without even setting it up or anything, you can tell it's just a quality item. It's seriously heavy. It's got a handle on there, and it's quite a long boy as well. Let's have a look around the back here. We've got power input, and we can change it from 240 to 110. We've got various ports on here, Ethernet, USB, and it's got a port in here. I think you can use that to control some of the functions remotely, automate things. Nice grounding point here as well, and a big fan on the back. So it seems very well made. It's all rubberized on the outside here, and this is the first ever product I've had from Hantek. As I say, really impressed by the quality of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over to my workbench, put it in place where it's going to fit, and I'm going to run through why I've chosen this power supply and some of the features this particular one has. I've not seen anybody with this one doing any reviews, so I think it will be quite interesting to have a play with it. Yeah, it just feels quality, all these buttons, and you've got the outputs here. Yeah, let's take it over and we'll go through it properly. Alright, I found a nice home for the power supply on my bench. Because it's quite long, if I had it that way, it doesn't push quite far back enough on the desk, but at an angle here, it seems to work quite well. And I'll switch that on. It takes a second and now it's on. So in this corner I've got my DC supply. I've also got a couple of extra sockets on a separate RCD, so I can power up any AC items as well. Right, let's zoom in a little bit. One thing that is interesting about this power supply is it's branded by Hantek, but to me this looks pretty much identical to similar power supplies by Keysight. So if I show you on here what I mean, you've got this Keysight. It's only a 3-channel one, but pretty much the buttons just look identical. And even the menus on here, you can see where it says like source settings, output settings, data logger, utilities, lock unlock. And when you look at this one, it's got all exactly the same buttons, and the menu all looks the same. And also the software that goes with the laptop on there is Keysight. You use the Keysight manager to connect this one to your computer. So I'm not sure if this is something kind of rebranded by Hantek, but the price difference for this, if you look at the price for one of these power supplies, you're looking here over £2,000. And the one that I've got from AliExpress, the Hantek one, for the 4-channel version here, is £538. And the specifications look pretty much the same on it. So yeah, if you're interested in this type of power supply, personally I think it's exactly the same as the Keysight one. Probably the same software that it's running on there, and definitely all the buttons and that look to be identical as well. Now, after doing some research, I've chosen this power supply primarily because it's a linear power supply, which is important for doing kind of bench testing here, as opposed to a switching power supply. Now, linear power supply has the transformer in it, and it gives you a nice clean output, and I've got the ability on here to set a current limit, etc., and disable some of the protection on there, so I can still inject current if it sees a short circuit. Whereas the switching power supply, I don't think it's necessarily like a clean output, and from the research I've done, linear is the way to go when you're doing on there. This particular model, because it's got 4 separate outputs, I could be using one output to charge a battery or something, and I can have another output for powering it, and also these outputs, you can link them together, so you can combine the voltage or combine the current on one channel to give you more if required. The second reason I've got this power supply is because I'm making videos. I want to be able to have something that I can share the output on here with OBS. So that was important, so I can get a nice display on my recordings, and if I'm doing something with using the power supply, everybody will be able to see that on the videos as well. So I'll have a little play in a minute with the software and show you what that looks like when I import it into OBS. But as it is now, let me just zoom in on this menu and show you in detail some of the features you've got on here. Right, we've got a better view of this hopefully now. So what I like about this power supply is it's just dead simple to use on here. You've got 4 outputs, each are color coded, so the output 1 is yellow, and on the screen it matches with the yellow, same with the green. So you can see all 4 outputs at the same time. Also, you can zoom in by pressing Master View. It gives you a bigger view of the output that you're using, and you can just switch between the outputs easily by pressing the button. On output 2 now, output 3, and it changes the colour, so it's quite easy to see which one you're on. So if I change it to the first output, you can see at the moment we're set to 0 volts, 3 amps. So I can easily change the voltage. It's already on the voltage there. I can just press 5 and change it to 5 volts. And if I want to turn on and off any outputs, I literally just press on there. And you can turn them all on and all off with a single button as well if you require. Now if I want to make fine adjustments, I can adjust here with the knob, and it goes in steps, and the same with the current. And you can also navigate up and down with the arrows as well. And you can store, recall programs if you want. I've just grabbed a couple of leads, so we'll test it by, let's go on output 1. So output 1 at the moment is set to just over 5 amps, 3 volts, and I can turn it on. And you can see the voltage on there is it's 5 volts, not drawing any current. And if I touch them together, it changes there instantly. Obviously the voltage drops, and we're drawing the full 3.2 on the current. And the good thing is with this is it's literally instant. I only have to tap it and you can instantly see it's changing. And the fact that that's so fast is really useful when you're injecting voltage or monitoring current. So yeah, that works perfectly well. So some things that you can do on this, if I go into the output settings on here and go into the operation mode, at the moment the ports are running independent of each other, so that gives you a total of 32 volts and 3.2 amps on each of these ports. But if I wanted more voltage or more current than that could provide, I can either put it into series or parallel mode. So if I go into mode series, it's changed now, so I can now get 64 volts out of this, which just means you'd have to connect an external cable between these 2 ports. So if I do that now, and your 2 outputs are going to be the plus and the minus of channel 1 and channel 2, and I'll just put a little jumper between these 2. Okay, and now we're connected into series. So if I go back you can see it's gone here. Channel 2 shows on the screen that it's connected in series with channel 1, and if I turn on channel 1 output, it's now working like that. Don't want to put 64 volts through these cables, but I can now if I wanted to change that 64, enter, and now I've got 64 volts on here using the combine of both channels. And again, if I go to the output settings, go into operation mode on here, I could also set it to parallel if I need more current. So I can have the 32 volts on here, but I can also get 64 amps. Sorry, 6.4 amps out of channel 1 if I desired. So to do that, obviously you need to connect onto those terminals there. That's where having the a plug which is a double plug, banana plug, so you can stack them, and maybe a couple of jumper cables. But probably do that in the future. At the moment, I think having just 3.2 amps on here or the 32 volts is fine for a channel for me. But it's nice that I've got that option if I require it. And I'll just change it back, the output settings, and just change it back to independent channels for now. And now I can use all 4 channels independently of each other. Next feature, just wanted to show on here as well, is if you go into source settings in here, you've also got these 2 options here. You've got the over current protection and the over voltage protection state, and you can turn these both on and off. So it's ideal that I can turn off both of the protections on here. I'll be setting my own current limit, for example, on here, or my own voltage, so I don't need to worry about having that doing stuff when I'm trying to test. I can have it exactly how I want to test it myself. This power supply also has a lot more features as well. A lot of them I'm not going to use, like logging the data and things like that, but the feature that I did want to have a look into is connecting it to the PC. So I'm going to do that now. I've already connected up the LAN cable on there, and you can see I've got the symbol up there. And if I go into utilities, IO, LAN settings, I've got the LAN settings in here for the device. I've turned off the DHCP in there, and I'm going to just set my IP address and work in the same subnet as well on my PC, and I should be able to connect to this. So let's do that now. Okay, so I'm now on the computer, and as I mentioned before, you use the Keysight Connection Expert to connect to the instrument here. So I've got it connected via LAN, and if I check my settings, we can see that I've changed my IP address here to match so I can connect to the unit, and yeah, it's recognized it as a Hantek HDP4424. Now you can actually use like a command line interface on here to send and receive commands to the instrument if you wanted, but Hantek also have their own software that they include, so I'll show you that. That's this HDP 4000 version 1.4. So if I launch this software and give it a second, you can see the green lights connected up here, and now I can see all 4 channels that I could see, and I can also operate it from here. I can turn this channel on, turn it off, I can set the voltage, current, etc. And you've also got voltage and current plotted in a graph over time on here. Now I'm not really going to be using this, I'll just be pressing the buttons on the power supply, but to have this screen on the output here is what I was really after. So now with that information I can put that into OBS and hopefully be able to display this on the videos. So let's just have a play. I'll set up a scene in OBS and hopefully demonstrate this working. Okay, so I'm now recording through OBS on my computer, ignore the video quality because this is just streaming some video from my phone. But more importantly, down in this corner now, we should be able to see the power supply that I've got set up on here, the little scene that I've put in OBS. And if I switch my power supply on, we should be able to see that change. Yeah, you can see 4.999 on there, and as we touch them together, it indeed updates on OBS as well. So I can see I'm drawing 3 amps now through the cable. Now, there's a slight delay on it compared to the screen. That's completely instant as soon as I do anything, but on here, you can see taking it off, putting it back again. So it's probably like a 1 second delay, but for filming the videos and to be able to show you what's going on and having that display in the corner here, I think that's quite useful and seems to work well. And if I need to, I can move this around where I want on the screen and can make it bigger if I needed to, or smaller. I think that's going to work really well. If I turn the output off, and it's dropped to 0 volts. So yeah, that was just a little demonstration of how I'm going to be able to record the videos in the future. Obviously, the video quality itself will be much better when I actually get a camera. But I'm quite happy now with the power supply and how it links into OBS here. And now I've gone over some of the features of this power supply. I'm happy that it's connecting to the computer okay. What I need now is to be able to get some cables to be able to power up various devices. So that's what I'm going to work on now, is getting some cables together, and I'm going to show you that as well. So this is this set that I've picked up from AliExpress, and as you can see, it's quite a comprehensive set, and I think this should cover me in 99% of things. That I've got a DC jack that I want to be able to connect to. Let's just show you what you get. You get 3 of these rails here, and as you can see, various different types of connectors on here, and they all just sit on the rail. Every one of these connectors has got the same input on there, and then say the outputs are on there, and it's a flexible rail as well, so it's quite easy to pull out the one you want, and they fit quite snug back on there. So that's rail 1. Got another rail here. These ones look like headphone type adapters, and you've got full ranges here. Let's have a look at the next one. So they all look very similar, obviously different sizes. They have got letters on them: a C, a D, an E, a H, another E, and they do look the same. So I think there are some duplications as well here. Another H, 2 H's, and yet they look the same to me as well. That's a C and that's a C, and those two are different. So yeah, I'm not really sure with the letters on there what they actually mean, but it would be nice to know which each one is for. But look at these ones as well. Recognise this one as a Lenovo. I think the blue one might be a HP. Okay, so in this set you've got 4 of those rails with all those connectors on it. Then additionally, you've got some extras here. These are like magnetic type connectors, different sizes. I don't know if that's for like older Apple products. The same input on there. So you've got 2 of those. And then you've got all these ones as well, which a lot of these seem to be duplication of these, but they're a lot bigger, so I'm not sure. I'll show you this, for example. It actually got HP on that one there. Let's check another one for Dell and HP. So these ones actually seem better quality. I don't know why they're larger. If it's got some kind of charging pin, a sense pin or something in these included. So it says E. What's this one say? Q. Okay. What's this? For Yoga 3. That one's a kind of weird USB with a notch on it. And you got another HP there. So two types of HP. The Dell. Be nice if they all had the label on the side there. And then coming over to these ones, you've actually got some of the standard. That's a micro USB, a mini USB, a USB-C, USB-A, and USB-A female. Little square connector. So yeah, I think we're covered with adapters with all those. And the cable that comes included has just got that type of jack on it, and it works with any of these. Just connect into there. Same with these type. So they're all the same. Now the other end of the cable just comes with two kind of tinned ends on the end there, with a strain relief on it. So I'm just considering my options now on how to do it. The power supply does allow me to just turn the knobs and use like a screw terminal to screw bare wires like that. But I think I'd prefer like banana clips on the end of these that would just easy to take in, take out on the power supply. So yeah, I'm gonna have a look at cable options now and see if I can come up with a solution here that will work better with the power supply. So as I say, this is the cable that came with the adapters, and it does seem really nice quality on there. It's got like a little ferrite sleeve on there, but it doesn't have any termination points on there. I did try to buy a cable that would have banana jacks on the end, which would be ideal, and this is the one that came, but to be honest with you, it kind of feels a bit flimsy because it's they're separate wires as well. They get a bit tangled up. So I think I would prefer to use this one that came with it. Be a lot nicer to use rather than this one. These banana jacks are fixed on there, so I can't really do a nice job of transferring those banana jacks on to there. So I have got a few other options. I've got this old cable here with these type banana jacks on it, which I think I'd probably be able to take apart and use them. That's an option. And I've also got these ones, which I've already taken apart, and these are a lot nicer quality. However, they are shielded banana jacks as opposed to them, so they won't actually insert into the power supply as it is. But I think these ones are better quality. I think what I might do is cut off the shielding on here so the banana jack can come out the end, and then terminate the wires onto here with the solder connection, desolder these two, and yeah, use the wires on there. I think these will attach nicely in there. I don't know if I can get any more space. Going to see if I can move this strain relief down further. It'd be nice to have a little bit of extra length in these two. Right, so I've got a bit of that extra strain relief that just gives me a little bit of extra length now, because the wires do go quite far into this. So at that point where I should have enough to be able to separate the two, then I think that'll work. Don't think the strain release really necessary, but I think it'll give it a slightly better finish. Yeah, happy. Let's go with that. Okay, they can come out completely. That'll make it easier. I think I'm going to get a little vise or something to hold these while I solder them. So I think it actually goes through this hole completely. Let's try it with a bit of this rosin. Okay, I think there's not enough heat in this type of soldering tip. This is the first time I've ever used this soldering iron, so I think I'm going to try the chisel tip, see if that's any better. Right, we've got a chisel on there now. I think this should work better. Yeah, it's actually holding solder on the tip now. Let's give this one a go. We're out. Right, we managed to get through. Oh, there we go. Okay. Managed to desolder that. We've got a nice hole going through now. The little rubber bump stop has come off on there. Looks like it just screws on, but it's come off with the heat. But I should be able to place my wire through there now and solder it. Okay, I'm going to try and solder this black wire first. So the way I'm going to do that, I'll insert the wire in here and then see if I can hold it in this clamp. Okay, and now I should be able to come with the soldering iron and fill the hole with it in. Let's give that a go. Now I think just to stop the wire falling down the hole, I'm going to just put something underneath. Got that file in there, and that will stop it from going down now. Get the best possible connection. Right, I'm going to heat up the soldering iron again. Bit of rosin in there. Right, let's see how this goes. Okay, so I think I need to add a bit more rosin onto that. Let's see if I can right, let's try now. I think it just needs quite a bit of heat just to make sure it flows all the way through the hole. Okay, let's take that out and inspect that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. That's pulling on, that's really strong. So I think that's quite a good connection. I'm just going to put this rubber stopper on the end, twist that back on. There we go. And now that's ready to be inserted. I think before I put that cap on, I'll do this side as well first. So let me come back once I've done this one and put these both caps back on. Okay, I'm done messing around with this cable now, prepping this up. So it just did take a little bit of tinkering. I just tidied that solder up a little bit better, and now I've got these plugs on the end, nice and strong. I did take the shielding off, just cut that off with a hacksaw and then filed these down here. So I think that's made quite a nice finish on there. And having these banana plugs now on the end of there, if I come to the power supply, I can connect these, and I've got a nice solid connection. Rather than having to put the cables directly onto the screw terminals, I can now use the banana plugs and use this with the adapters to power up anything I want. I'm quite happy with that. And these banana plugs as well, they can double up and connect something else on there if you want, and it's easy to disconnect when I'm not using them. So I'm quite happy with that, and that's going to go in the kit with all the other adapters I've got. And I've got a nice little metal box here that I've got all my adapters in there and the cable, and that little box can just sit on top of my power supply for when I need it. Moving on now to more cables that I need for the power supply. Obviously, I'm happy with the other set I've got now, so I can power up anything with the various jacks. But if I actually want to inject power, inject some current directly into the board, I need some multimeter leads, which I've picked up this cheap kit from AliExpress. I say that will hopefully be good for troubleshooting like a short circuit, and I need to inject at a certain point. Okay, so in this kit I've got some various I've got these cables here, and then the probes. So for the negative probe, I'll probably be using a crocodile clip. There's a couple that come with it, got big ones and small ones as well, so I can clip onto an earth point on the board at some point there. And then with the positive lead, I'll be able to inject a certain component wherever I want to do, then check around with a thermal camera, etc. So yeah, I've got this kit here. It's got some, looks like, let's have a look at these. Got a few in this little pack here of probes. Let's empty them out. So this looks quite a fine one, gold plated one, which would be ideal. So let's put that on there. So yeah, I'll be able to get a grounder point on the other one, and then inject at the various locations with this. And I've also picked up this thermal camera, which will be coming soon. I'll have a little play with that on another video. But yeah, short circuit faults are obviously quite common. Repairing various different electronics. So this is going to be quite useful. Now, having a think about these cables here, the ones that came with it. So I've got the straight end here that I can use to connect to the probe, and the other end of the cable has got a right angle shrouded on there, which won't actually connect into the power supply. So I've got a couple of options here. I could cut that shroud off to expose the banana plug inside and connect that. I kind of prefer it to be a straight connector, not a right angle connector to connect in there. So I have also got some these older cables which have just got banana jacks which are exposed. I think I might use these in the power supply and then connect the probes onto the other side. But they do actually, you can't separate them at the moment. They have this in here, so it's obviously not going to give us enough working distance. I think what I'll do is I'll probably cut this down here, and then I'll be able to split these cables down and have some more length on there, and then I'll be able to use crocodile clip to connect onto a ground point. Both crocodile clips that you get in this set, I mean, that's kind of too big really, and this one, let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's not very fine. I might need to get a bit of a smaller crocodile clip that'll be easier to clip onto things, or I might. I do have an idea of, like, if it's a laptop or something with a USB port, creating one that will actually just plug into the USB port and then have a female one on the other end where I can clip into. So I might look into that future. But for now, I think I'll just use this cable. There are also some other bits you get in here. You get these ones. Let's have a look at them. Okay, so how do they work? I guess they just connect onto the end like that. Must be this side. No. I think they're supposed to go on the end of the multimeter probes, but they sit loose. It may be that you need to use one of the wider ones. Try the silver one. Does it connect onto that one? Oh yeah, it's a secure connection on there. The other end of that has got the little plug, and then you can use, get that out. Yeah, they can go into those. And then you've got the little arms for connecting onto things. But yeah, that would mean I'd have to use those bigger probes. I think having the thinner one would probably be better, so I might not use them. Probably just going to use standard multimeter probe with this cable like that. And yeah, that'll be what I use for injecting, and then separate this and get a decent crocodile clip. I think that'll be ideal. I've decided to put together this little cable for the power supply. The idea being is when I want to inject some current power into a circuit, rather than searching for a ground, trying to either hold a probe on somewhere or plug onto a crocodile clip onto a screw terminal or something like that. having a bit more of a secure connection by being able to plug a USB connector, USB-A connector, and then on the other end having a banana jack, and then that will mean I can just come with my power supply cable and just clip into there and have a nice secure connection, and obviously be able to move around, be able to like rotate the board if I want to inject power on both sides of a board without worrying about a crocodile clip falling off, etc., and give me a nice ground connection through. So yeah, the idea is here I've got this cable which isn't much use at all. It's just a USB-A to USB-A, which is not something I'm really going to use. So I think I'm going to cut it off here and see if there's a way I can connect this banana jack onto the end of the cable using the ground connection. Maybe the shielding from the connector here, and maybe also the ground pin as well, which I believe is the first pin on this connector. So yeah, let's get this cut down and see if I can find a way to attach it on there and make a cable up. Right, so this, it doesn't need to be very long. Um, Probably the shorter the better really, but I left myself a bit of slack, so I can peel it back here and then strip the cables down. The cable is now stripped down, and I've got my shielding here that I've just wrapped up on itself, and I've also got the black ground wire in here, and then you have the positive wire and a data lead. Now this is a kind of non-standard type of USB. For some reason it's got 4 additional pins in the back, not just these ones on the front, but there's 4 on there. I can't remember what this cable was from. So you've got 2 extra pairs of data lines on there. So yeah, I'm going to cut those off, the unnecessary ones, and see if I can terminate these ones. I've just got my multimeter in continuity, and I'm just going to check now, just to be sure which pin is ground in here. I think it was should be the first one. Yeah, I think the 2 middle are data, and then the last one is power. So yeah, that one's there, and then the shielding should be obviously connected through to here. Lovely. So I need to connect those ones together, but I don't want like the positive to be connected when I'm in it. So I'm going to see if I can get rid of that pin in here. I've ripped out the other pins now from this USB connector, so all I'm going to have connected when I plug this in is the ground from here, from the shielding, and the ground on that wire there. So even though these wires are cut off there, they're not doing anything, and they're not connecting anywhere, because that's the only pin that I've got on that connector now. So I'm just going to see if there's a way I can terminate it now onto this banana jack. I'll strip back the shielding on the black ground, and I've wrapped it along with the shielding from the cable. So to make a neater job of this cable as well, I'm going to add a bit of heat shrink in there that I can shrink down before I add that connector. Right, I've got it clamped in with 2 screws on that screw terminal now, and that's made it really solid. Just to give it some additional mechanical strength, I'm going to come in with some solder. Right, it seems to have taken. I think that's just going to give it some extra mechanical strength as well, as I say.
just soldering directly to that screw there. Just to finish off, I get this heat shrink on. A bit of a go at the hot air. Okay, here's the finished product there. Happy with that. So it's going to be getting the ground from 2 places. Nice little small cable. And I think we'll give it a go now.
Right, let's have a little play with this cable now. Currently, I've got the multimeter set in continuity with those cables that I was preparing. Okay, this is actually the power supply. I have just taken it apart, just in case you're interested to see inside it. You can see the transformer in there. And you've got here the main control on here. You've got there's an ARM chip in there. I guess that's the main control. And you've got this board on here, and there's another little daughter board down there as well. But anyway, about this cable, pretty much every device nowadays, even this power supply, has a USB-A port. If it's for a memory stick or a console with a controller port or a laptop, etc. So I'll just be able to connect this into here, nice and easy, and come with a negative lead into there, and then I will connect up this okay, so now I should be grounded throughout the whole device, and I can connect on at any point I want. So yeah, I think that's going to be quite useful. Obviously, if I was in the power supply, I'd have the negative lead in there, and then say I could inject my voltage. So I've not seen anybody do that before, but interesting to know. Do you think that's a good idea? I think that would be useful. And of course, rather than having that, trying to clip that on somewhere with a crocodile clip or balancer probe in there or something like that, it's just a much more secure way of doing it. Once I've got that attached in there, connected, I can move the device around and I'm not worried about the probe coming off.
Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up this video now. I think I've shown all the basic functions of this power supply. I've got it working on the computer. I've got the cables sorted that I wanted to sort. Shown these adapters. Now, if you are interested in this power supply, see, it's quite an expensive purchase, but it's a really good unit. I'm really happy with it. So I'll put a link in the description for the AliExpress link for this one. And also this adapter set, see, it's going to cover you for pretty much everything that you want to connect to. I'll also pop a link to the AliExpress for that as well, because that's reasonably cheap. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, so thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.